Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the introduction to the Cohort Metadata Repository, or the CMR database. I am Joanne Elena. I'm a program director in the Epidemiology and Genomics Research Program here at NCI. And I'm going to start with a brief overview of the CMR, and Amy Miller from Westat will walk you through a tutorial in more detail after I finish. So what is the CMR? It's a restricted use searchable database that documents data harmonization across cohorts. It is restricted use, so you will need to create a username and login that Amy will walk you through that process in a moment. The CMR contains only metadata, variable names, formats, codes, descriptions, etc. There are no individual level data included here. That's important and something we'll emphasize a few times throughout this webinar today. There are no individual level data here. For any sort of project or analysis, you will have to work with the individual data holders to make sure you have the individual level data. Variables from individual cohorts can be searched and compared to determine if harmonization is possible, and harmonized variables from specific projects and the specifications used to create those variables are also documented in the CMR. Currently, we only have one pilot project that I'll describe momentarily. What is the purpose? It's quite simple. We want to reduce the time and effort that investigators are spending harmonizing data. Unfortunately, there's not a magic button on this tool that instantly harmonizes data, but we're hoping that seeing the documentation from past projects will save future projects time and also should provide more information so that you can create the type of variable that are most appropriate for your analysis. The CMR will facilitate data harmonization, but it is up to each individual project to get the data set and ensure that all data use agreements are in place. Again, because the CMR only has metadata, there are no individual data included. The target audience is scientists interested in consortial work, and this tool is open to anyone interested in consortial work, as long as you create a username and password that will be demonstrated shortly. Please note the database has recently has only recently gone live, and there will still be, or may be, kinks. We would greatly appreciate feedback and hearing how we can make this tool more useful for you. There's a Contact Us button on the site. Please use it. Currently, we have included only one project, the Diabetes and Cancer Initiative, led by Drs. Elio Riboli and Dr. Mark Gunther. There is a possibility that we would include future projects, but for now, we are focused on determining how the CMR can be of most use to you. And the only way we'll know that is by you telling us what works for you and what you wish that we would expand in and create. To date, there are harmonization mappings for 24 cohorts included in the CMR. I've heard interest from others who would like to be included. We will do our best to include all who are interested. Again, you can use that Contact Us form, or you can let me know directly. My email is Elena, ELENAJW, @mail.nih.gov. But again, any contact to the Contact Us button on the CMR will make its way to me, and I'm happy to work with you. Again, proper formatting and sending us only the information that we ask for will ensure that your tax dollars are well used, and I thank you in advance for help with that. I would also like to take a moment to thank the people who have spent many, many hours developing this tool, starting with Michelle Brotzman and Amy Miller at Westat and their whole team, Mark Gunter and Heather Ward at Imperial, Scott Rogers and Anya Harvey here at NCI, Dr. Allison Van Dyke and DCG at NCI for beta testing this tool, and to the many others who have helped create CMR. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Amy Miller, who can walk you through what the CMR will do.
Okay. Thank you, Joanne. So why don't we start from the beginning? How do you request a new study? Well, it's actually pretty easy. all you need to do is select the New Account button. And once you do that, then you are brought to the New Account page. On this page, you'll want to complete the form. This is not an automatic approval. We review each request as they come in, so it may take 1 to 2 business days to approve the request, and if your request is approved, you will receive an email. Okay. So now that you're into the CMR, what next? Well, I'm going to take you on a tour of the CMR. I won't have time to talk about everything, but I will try to point out some of the main features, the main topics that we will cover, and go over kind of the main pages within the CMR. And those are the cohort metadata, the harmonized mapping, the variable search, the discussion forum, the metadata code request form, and the contact us. So let's get started. I'd also like to mention the website URL is cmr.nci.nih.gov. So after you've gone there, you've set up an account, and you've logged in, this is where you end up. This is the homepage. As you can see from the screenshot, I'm going in order of the topics at the top of the main page. You can access any of the main sections of the website, but either from the main buttons at the center of the page, or from the top of the page, the top buttons. So let's start with the cohort metadata. In the CMR, we provide a brief description of the cohorts participating and their available metadata. This is the main page that lists all of the available cohorts. Let's select one to see what's available. This is a fancy screenshot I took from our user guide, which I'm plugging, so if you have any questions about the site, feel free. There is a link to it on the CMR. And as you can see, we have a number of categories for each cohort. They all contain cohort summary, general information, population information, data collection events, and data sets. Now, the caveat with this information is that what's in there now is based on information we've collected for our proof of concept project, the Diabetes and Cancer Initiative. This means the data is not complete for any cohort, and the data sets are mostly based on a few outcome data sets. The data sets themselves are defined for this purpose of the CMR and contain only metadata, no individual level data. If you're looking for more descriptive details about a cohort, I would suggest going to the companion website, which is the CEDCD website, where it's a descriptive website of all cohorts that participated. Now on to the next tab. This is probably the most exciting tab in the whole website. I think you'll find it of the most interest, the Harmonization Mapping tab. On this page, we have the data sets that have been harmonized. For now, we just have one project, the Diabetes and Cancer Pooling Project, which has the acronym DMCA. Throughout the website, you will see this prefix, DMCA, and it means that the data set or variable is a part of this harmonized project. Now let's take a closer look at this harmonized data set. Okay. Once you select the harmonized data set, you will see the description of the project, the content domains, and the listing of the cohorts included. You can either select the variable button to see a listing of the harmonized variables that were created, or you can select the harmonization button to see the grid summarizing how everything was harmonized. We're going to take a closer look first at the harmonization page. This is a partial screenshot of the harmonization page. For this project, there are 98 harmonized variables so far. At a glance, you can quickly see which variables and cohorts were able to be harmonized. If there's a green square, it means the variable was harmonized. If there's a red circle, the variable could not be harmonized. And if there's a black dot, it means the variable has not yet been harmonized. Now let's take a closer look. If you were to hover over any of the variables listed, you would get a description of the variable. As you can see, for the DMCA BL_BMI, it is the BMI baseline variable and the short description we wrote about it. Additionally, if you hover over any of the squares or circles, you can see the status, comments, and or actual variable coding. I have highlighted here the hip circumference variable for the Canadian study of diet, lifestyle, and health. The variable was able to be harmonized, and this is the script for this harmonized variable. The script is a pseudocode, which most resembles SAS code, but may need some alterations to account for things like variable formats, missing values in the individual level of data. Also important to note, the code has been based on the metadata only and hasn't been run on actual data yet. We will continue to work with the Diabetes Project, and they run the code to give us corrections, and we will update the website. But it is the user's responsibility to check for errors and also to QC any individual data level they receive for any QC issues, unexpected values, etc. So let's say we wanted to see a little bit more about this hip circumference variable. Let's click on it and see what we get. You come to this page. This is the top of the page, the view of the page. We'll look at the bottom of the page in a moment. It provides you with the variable label and the list of cohorts included in the harmonization for this variable. The data set name, the value type, here it's decimal. If the variable is repeating, here it's not. The unit used, here it's centimeters, and the description of the variable and the categories. So at the top of the variable page is providing you the detailed information on how the variable was defined and who was included. Then you can scroll down to see more information. This is actually the actual harmonization code, if possible, for each of the cohorts included. The first column lists the cohort, and then you have the status, which is either the square or the circle, followed by any comments, or followed by the script. If the script is long, it will appear truncated here, and then you can click the view to see more of the script. The website makes it very transparent on how the harmonization has occurred, so the investigator can come along and use information for future harmonization efforts. 2 points I want to make is the SAS code here is what we're calling pseudocode, as I mentioned before. It's close to SAS, but not exactly SAS. So if someone who wanted to use this information, they have to do a bit more to get it to work with SAS or another similar statistical software. Also, there is a way in the CMR to export this information so you don't have to sit here and cut and paste from each square. And I'll provide a little bit more detail about that in a minute. Okay. Now, let's say you wanted to look a little bit more on for a variable, for a specific variable. Where would you go? You would go to the variable search page. It's the fourth option at the top. It's the page where you can search for any variable that's in the CMR. This includes variables from the cohorts as well as the harmonization dataset. The best thing to do when you're on this page is to use the filter option on the left side of the page. All of the variables that have been categorized, so it'll help you narrow down the list to the variables for a given content area. Additionally, you can use the keyword box at the top of the page to search for a variable. A note about this is a text word search, so if you type in something like smoking, you'll get a variable that has smoking in the name or the label or the data set. When you do find the variable that you want, you can click on the name to see more information. If you're looking for a specific variable by name, say a variable from your own cohort or a variable that's referenced in the harmonization script, you can enter the variable name into the search field and it'll come up. So let's do a quick search for marital status. I can put in marital status in the search box, or I could hit the option on the filter on the left side of the page. And let's pick one of the marital status variables and see what's on the variable page. to the harmonized variable, this is also an example of what it looks like on a single cohort page. So as you saw before, there was more information on which cohorts were used to harmonize and a lot more detail at the top. Here it's a little bit less. It's going to give you just the basic information related to this variable and the cohort that's a part of it. You'll see the label, the CMR data set to which this variable belongs. Here it's the Iowa Women's Health Study. There is also the value type and whether it's repeatable or the and the description. And then you will also see the categories. Now you'll see here the description is actually the question text and the categories are the responses. And this, for the most part, is true throughout, except the description occasionally will be an algorithm code or a specific information to how the variable was derived if it's a derived variable. Also, we provide the domain which the data source is and the variable and how the variable was categorized in the CMR. So here we have the data source is from a baseline questionnaire, and we categorize this one as marital status partner. Okay. So let's move on. As we talked before, in an effort to facilitate collaboration and to notify users of changes in the website, there is this discussion forum. The discussion forum is open to all users, and you can pose questions about the harmonization, coding questions, or about any current harmonization project. It is also used from the site. It's also used if you have code from the site and you have questions about it, or something's not working and you need adjustments. You can post it here. We will be monitoring it. It is public, though, so you know, we'll be monitoring it and trying to respond to questions, but others can comment as well. And this is also where we'll post any notices about when we update metadata or the algorithm code. So if you decide to download or use any of the code or information from the website, you should check this discussion forum to see if there has been any updates or any corrections to the code. Okay. Now that you've reviewed the website and you discovered there's some metadata or code that you want to use, you can request it here on the metadata code request page. We have this simple form, and then we ask that you complete a checklist that you can download here, and then you attach it to the simple form over here. So it's a very simple form, and then we receive it. We'll review your request and work with you to provide you the metadata or the algorithm code that you requested. If you have any questions or comments, changes, suggestions, or anything that you want to get in touch with us about, you can hit the Contact Us button on the top right of the screen. It's the last option in the menu, and you'll get this Contact Us form. It's a simple form. It gets pre-filled, and it'll come to our help desk. And it's also monitored every day, so we'll be able to respond to any of your questions. Do you have any questions? I think those questions are coming into Joanne.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. We do have our first question. Who developed the software, and is it now available? Yes, the website's now available. Who developed the software? This is the software platform is developed on Maelstrom Mica technology software. It's an open source software, and we've modified it for this particular effort. That's also the next question. Which software are you using? Again, it's Mica. Let's see, and we have a link on our website to their research group and the work that they are doing as well. Okay. What are the criteria for granting access? Can you repeat the name of the site? Yes, the site is the Cohort Metadata Repository, the CMR, or that's the name of the database. The website, it should be on the screen that you're looking at now, but it's https cmr.nci.nih.gov. What are the criteria for granting access? Okay, you'll go on to the new user account, and as long as you're a researcher that's interested in consortial work, we will grant access. It may take a few days to get your username and password information. Let's see. Oh, and just a reminder that there's, it's just metadata, there's no individual level data, there's no PHI that needs to be protected within this database. It's just the information about the variable. Okay, another comment. Oh, this is just a note that NCI funded Westat to do all this work through a contract mechanism. Okay. Can we ask for the metadata for a new study to be developed? So that would be another, a new project. So right now we're focusing on trying to figure out how the scientific community can use the harmonization information that's been created only with this diabetes and cancer initiative. But in the future, it is possible. And again, please use the contact us and let me know what sort of project you're looking for, and we can see if there are resources that we have that could help you. The flip side of the question is, what if a study that's already been concluded and you have a lot of information on what you've harmonized? We would actually really be interested in that information as well. We envision the discussion forum to be a place where you could post any information that you think may be useful to your colleagues. And of course, that would be, it wouldn't go through a QA/QC process that we do, but when your colleagues use the information in the discussion forum, we see that as a place that you can share your information and offer suggestions if you see something that you have input for. Okay, next question. How is the catalog different from Maelstrom? Different. Well, it's built upon their software, so the platform is not different. But I think the information we've included here is specific just to the 24 cohorts that we have the information for the Diabetes and Cancer Initiative. So that's how it's different. Okay, next question. By the time a project is put in the CMR, does it mean that analysis has already been done and the research question has already been answered? Great question. No. We're putting the information in real time. The harmonization process for the specific pilot project, as soon as Westat is harmonizing that information, it goes right into the CMR. So similarly, how I just described the discussion forum process, we're hoping that we sort of have a crowdsourced, I guess is that the right word, approach to giving information and QAing what you see and any information that you use. Again, we haven't actually run all the code that's going to be posted on the CMR for this first project, the Diabetes and Cancer Initiative. They're still collecting all of the MTAs or DTAs to get the data. So we're running the code as the data is available, and then they're reporting back to us to telling what errors they've had, and then we'll update the website, but the process isn't completed. So we really are looking for your help. If you have comments, please let us know. Post it in the discussion forum, which we're monitoring, or use the contact us and report back. And I mean, as I mentioned before, we just went live about a month ago, so there are still plenty of improvements to make. Okay, next question. Have you thought to develop closer collaborations with Maelstrom to leverage the potential of both catalogs? Oh, yeah, we would love that. That would be great. Our efforts right now have been focused on this one particular project. But we have had conversations in the past with Dr. Fortier and really appreciate all the efforts that her team has done to make Maelstrom such a wonderful research tool, and we're hoping to work with them in the future. But if you have specific ideas for how we can work together, please contact me directly through email or through the website. That would be wonderful. Okay, let's see, do we have any? Oh, yep, okay, one last question. CMR has harmonization codes that it doesn't contain any group summary data, is that correct? CMR, oh, yes. Okay, one, you cannot use the CMR to do a meta-analysis, unfortunately. It's just description. So this isn't, unfortunately, it's not the tool that's going to do the harmonization for you. But we hope it'll do is provide more information to make the types of decisions you'll need to make in your data harmonization a little bit easier, or it just save you some steps. But it's, you know, it's not the place that's going to post the summary information for each cohort. Okay, I think that's the last question. I will keep an eye out to see if there are any other ones. Type them quickly if you do. Okay, I believe that concludes the questions. If you do have any questions later on, again, please contact me directly through email, Joanne, Joanne, .Elena, ELENA, @nih.gov, or contact us through the CMR. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you'll find the CMR useful.